Hello, citizens of the verse. This addition to the ship's matrix guide is all about turrets. The newly updated ship matrix divides turrets into two distinct categories, manned and remote. Both of these turret types can be controlled by players, NPCs, or by an AI, which is a process that will be discussed in more detail a little later on in this video. First, we'll go over a few things that all turrets will have in common. Turrets can only be attached to turret hardpoints. They cannot be affixed to weapons or ordnance hardpoints. Each turret will have multiple item points of their own for attaching armaments to. These are usually weapons, but some turrets can have an additional ordnance and utility hardpoints located on them as well. Turrets can only be swapped out for the same kind of turret, and all turrets will be hull locked. For instance, this means that you can only swap a manned constellation turret out for a different variant of a manned constellation turret. Remote turrets cannot be swapped for manned turrets and vice versa. Being hull locked also means that turrets no longer have a size attributed to them, and the weapons they hold will no longer be added to the total amount of weapons that a ship is displayed as having on the ship matrix. This is the reason why the number of guns or hardpoints that a ship has previously listed as having will appear to go down, when in fact they haven't lost anything in terms of firepower. Manned turrets are turrets that are controlled by a player or NPC, usually through a seat that moves from within the ship's hull into the turret itself. A good example of this is the kind of turret that a constellation has. All manned turrets have a consistent entrance tube diameter, meaning that once they're destroyed they leave behind a giant hole that enemies can board the ship through. Remote turrets are controlled through a station or a seat that's located somewhere else within the ship. This is usually done through some kind of augmented reality view screen or camera that allows the gunner to see down the sights of the turret's weapon while physically being somewhere else in the ship. When remote turrets are destroyed, they do not leave behind a gaping hole that can be used to breach the ship through, so they're a better defense against boarding parties, but as a trade-off they carry lower sized weapons than a manned turret would have. Any turret can be controlled by a player or an NPC, but there is a third option, which is to have it manned by an autonomous control function, also referred to as an AI or as a point defense turret. This will be a separate function that requires a blade to be added to your computer's list of items, which was formerly known as an avionics module. A point defense system will give control of your turrets to a computer, which is run by a component called a blade. The number of blades you can have installed in a single computer is limited, which will force you to choose between adding this feature or others when customizing your ship. A point defense turret will independently engage and track enemies without having to be controlled by a player or NPC. They tend to use specific loadouts and are particularly effective at taking out threats like missiles and torpedoes. Any turret can be set up to be controlled in this way. The list of improvements that are being done to turrets includes the addition of a stagger fire mode, camera shake, G-force effects, articulated directional controls, and an improved UI, which should, when all is said is done, turn certain ships like the Retaliator into the flying fortresses that they were always meant to be. The following list of ships have twin-linked or two weapons on a single gimbal that have been converted to remote turrets. This includes the chin turret on the Mustang, the canard and ball turrets on the Hornet, the F8 rear turret, the belly turret on the 85X, the top turret on the Ursa Rover, the Reliance wing turret, the Terrapin's nose turret, all turrets on the Redeemer, the nose turret on all the Hull series, and the Caterpillar's command module turret. Thank you once again for tuning in. I hope you found this informative and that you'll be dropping by again for the next installment in the Shipyard series, which will be all about missile hardpoints.